Yeah, boy. You know what time it is. It's a TLV Sports Talk Show. We talk sports, we talk life, we make you visible, taking life's vision. And brother and sisters, we got a hot one for you tonight. Don't go nowhere. Keep it locked in. We have an author, host of On Fire live stream broadcasts, civil rights leader. That's right. Political advocate for the people. And I'm telling you, he's on fire. It's Daryl Brooks. Tell your family and your friends. Hey, Daryl Brooks is on the TLV Sports Talk Show, and it's really an honor. And here's the main man right here. There he is. What's up? What's up, baby? How you
How you
doing,
doing,
Daryl?
man? How you doing? It's just a pleasure to come on your show. I've been watching you and checking out your great interviews. So it's just a pleasure to come on and you're the man. It's just I'm just excited. I'm just
No,
excited.
no, I'm just a man, okay? I'm just
Uh,
a man. Yeah, doing what we both do, and that's bring a
yes,
better quality of life to our neighborhoods, to our communities. We don't talk about it, we be about it. So many people talking this and complain about that. They complain about this and they don't do any research. They don't have any study about what's going on in the world. But people like you and I, Daryl, we have fact checks. We back up what we're talking about. And
yes, indeed.
we're advocate for the people, and we understand that the corruption that's taking place and the corruption that's going down, and how they doing. They're wagging the dog. I don't know if those
I
of you that
saw.
are watching this, if you ever saw the movie Wag the Dog, yeah, that's what they're doing. Wag the Dog is a presentation that what you see is not really real. It's made up. Okay, it's today it would be considered a CGI. For those of you that don't know what CGI is, it's computerized generated images, green screens, fake news, fake images, fake everything's fake. And because they want you to know and think what they want you to know. They being the cabal, they being the deep state, they being the elite, those who have the so-called money that they print out that is of no value, the fiat currency, that they want to control the world. So they're presenting to you something that is not really real, and they're so powerful. They have the ability to television program you by channels and write the script. And those who are working for them, and some of them don't even realize what they're doing, and some of them do know what they're doing, but they do it anyway because of the love of money. And those that are in politics, those that are in Hollywood, those that are in sports, that's working for the cabal, working for the mainstream media. That's what's going on. Would you agree with that, Daryl?
Oh, definitely. I've seen it for years, and it's just trying to wake people up is a difficult thing. But dealing with the cabal, dealing with the powers that be, it's all these type of levels of cabal. We have a cabal in the state of New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and the national one, and the ones around the world. So it is a to me that our job as hosts for these shows is to wake people up. It's it was a book by Irving Washington called the Rip Van Winkle. He slept for 20 some years. Rip Van Winkle slept for 20 years, and he wake up and it's a whole new different world. Well, we have people right now in America who's been asleep for 20, 30 years, and they finally waking up and they're like, okay, what type of world are we in right now? So that's my job for the On Fire show and my book, 37 Days, is to wake people up. Your show is definitely to wake people up.
Absolutely. And the only way we can do that, I think it was Thomas Paine that said, "The pen is mightier than the sword." My slogan and my saying that I know God gave it to me, is eyes open. First Chronicles 12:32, which is the Issachar anointing. The Issachar anointing, it was a tribe in Hebrew, the Hebrew people, certain Hebrew individuals that knew and understood the times that they live in. And so it's nothing new under the sun. The Issachar anointing is here, and it hasn't gone away, but it's been camouflaged and quieted down by quote unquote religion in the church. But the prophets are speaking. But the thing is, the people that don't know and don't understand, uh, they don't understand what the prophets are saying until it comes to pass. When it comes
Mm-hmm.
to pass, they say, "Oh, this is what it was all about." So we're talking about uh, those of us, myself, and others, many others. We're not the only ones, but you personally, you have written a book,
Yes,
37
37
days.
days.
37
Disenfranchising
days.
Philadelphia poll work. Yes.
Okay, well, look, I'm just flowing with everything. Talk to us
Mm-hmm.
about this book here. We're gonna. I was gonna screen share the other thing first, but let's do this one first here. We'll get back to that. We'll get back to your book. Don't go nowhere,
Okay.
everybody. We're going to talk about his book, but this is what we want to discuss right now. Your broadcast, okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's let the people see a little bit of what you're talking about.
Good, Daryl. I was just welcoming everyone to an impromptu and unplanned New Jersey Constitutional Republicans virtual conversation. It's great to have my old friend back, Mr. Daryl Brooks. Daryl,
Hi,
how
how
are
you
you?
doing? How you doing? I am so excited. We haven't done this in a while, and I'm just so excited on being here.
Well, it's great to have you, Daryl. And of course, years ago, you were one of the first people to have me on your On Fire show.
Yeah.
And you uh, got us started. You helped get the New Jersey Constitutional Republican started with your On Fire show, and you and I have cultivated a great friendship. Of course, we met
Yes.
each other up at a couple of the Second Amendment rallies that were held up in Trenton a couple of years ago, and we were both impressed with one another's speaking abilities, speech giving.
Yeah. And one of the things is that I've been doing a lot of speaking up in North. Hello.
All right. So, Daryl, who was that gentleman there?
Jr. That's Jr. Carmen. He's head of the New Jersey Constitutional Republicans. Me and him did a number of shows together on cultural Marxism, and it was very important because let everybody know what's really happening and where the school of cultural Marxism came from, and how it affects the culture, the music, the video games, the TV shows, the education of what people are learning in high school or even in college, all through the school system and even in college. So we talked about that and who's behind it. And so it's a interesting topic, cultural Marxism, and it shows you and it tells you about some of the saddest things, but the evilness that the cabal and the powers that be are pushing out through our school system, through television, through newspapers, through magazines, online, TV shows, movies, all these things that are happening to our society. There is a plan. There is individuals that are behind this, and we can't accept it. We got to challenge it because it's destroying our society. And the idea is to wake people up.
Absolutely, that their eyes are open. And I think with the
Mm-hmm.
gas prices at an all-time high, when those that have automobiles or vehicles that require gasoline, when they go and they push that gas into their gas tank, they are saying, "Wow!" Not long ago, gas was $1.99 a gallon.
Yeah,
Now it's up to an average of 4.50 per gallon. That's just for regular, and
yeah.
that's not including the truckers that have to
Mm-hmm.
pay for the diesel. So you're speaking about the influence that the cabal has over the music industry for the kids, the music industry, the videos, the
Yeah.
television. We just put out on Facebook this week, or I think it was last week, yeah, this President Week, about television programs and channels. And
Mm-hmm.
everything that you see is not reality, because they program you with different channels, and they have the same script for each channel with their program, and it's television. They're telling their vision. So they've been lying to us even about the weather. I mean, we HARP. Those of you that know what's going on, HARP is the industry with NASA. It's not. Fact check it. Fact check it. You can see what's going on with the chemtrails, how they control the jet stream, how they control the hurricanes, and how they control the cold air. When have
Mm-hmm.
you ever known in your life, Daryl, to be 74 degrees one day and then the next day it was 40?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, because they're playing like they're God, and it's not just here in America; it's all over the world. Well, talk to us about this book right here,
Mm-hmm.
37 Days.
Well, 37 Days came out. I always wanted to write a book. And, I was just trying to figure out the right time, and timing is everything about a book. So 37 Days begins for me. It's during the election fraud that took place in Philadelphia at the convention center, where how I was treated at the convention center during the election. It was during the counting, and also the things that I seen. And the fraud took place at the convention center by the Philadelphia workers, the Philadelphia election workers, how they treated me, the threats that they gave me, kicked me out. They kicked me out a couple times. They had police escorting me out. They had all these different things that were happening. They was watching me like, as a, when they used to use as a black man, we go into these stores back in the 80s and 90s. That's how they were doing, watching me. The ballots that were coming in, and watching people bringing in ballots, and it's like, okay, where do these ballots come from? Watching how they counted the ballots, all these different things that a lot of us seen. And, and I talk about in the book, 37 Days, how they basically, Corey Lewandowski and others came to me and said, Daryl, is this true what you're seeing? Yeah. And I had to write everything down, talk to them. And then at the press conference and at the Total Landscaping in Philadelphia that Saturday. And that put me really on the national and international scene. And, speaking, with Giuliani, he and President Trump on the phone talking, me, Corey Lewandowski, Giuliani, coming out this national, international press conference from all press conference all over the world. And then also having the Trenton politicians that seen me on television, because I was supporting President Trump, went after me, went to the press about me. So it was one thing, it was exciting, but the other part, it was disheartening, because the individuals that I grew up with, Trenton and politicians, they were the ones that attacked me. It wasn't the national, it was the Trenton politicians. So 37 Days talks about that. 30% of the book is political. 70% of the book is going up inner city, becoming activists, speaking out at 12 years old. 12 years old. It was closing the North Ward Trenton Library, and I spoke out at city council. I was 12 years old, telling them don't close the library at 12 years old. And then going to college, Mercer County College, Black Student Union president, vice president of student government. And then when I became a student politician, I became more of an activist in the city of Trenton. About the crime, about the violence, the corruption, police corruption, political corruption, all these things I was speaking out. So that's in the book. All these different things about the corruption of the political system, judicial system, corruption, me getting caught up in the most craziest thing, that something, it should never happen, but it did happen, and fighting against that. It was a difficult being an activist, Black activist, and speaking out for the people. And I remember this minister, and he said, the very people you're fighting for are the people that turn against you. And he said, and then he goes on to say, is the very people you fight for are the people that turn against you, and those who sit in the church and say, well, you're there when they crucified my Lord. There's always some of us, always some of them, sitting on the sideline waiting to do what Master tells them. And that's what we have, especially in the Trenton area. Individuals waiting to do what master tells them. If I don't agree with the master or with the black leadership plan, they'll do everything they can to destroy you, take you down. So that's what I talk about in this great book, 37 Days. I go out, gun shows, I go out and speak other places. They love it, they buy it. I get emails about the book. There are individuals that bought 10 books. There's a lady, she read the book in one day. She called me up on the phone. She said, Daryl, I want 10 books to give to my family and friends. That was amazing. So, there are people who are buying the book, enjoying the book, and telling their friends all about the book. And everywhere I go, I sell it, and people love it. 37 Days, Disenfranchisement of a Philadelphia Poll Worker. Me and Steve Martino, the writer of this book. Without Steve, this book could never get done. But this is a dream of mine to have a book. There were people that would tell me, "Oh, you hanging out with Giuliani. You hanging out for the President Trump. You're going to jail with Giuliani. You're going to jail with Trump." I mean, the most negative things. And a lot of us came from the city I'm from, the city of Trenton, New Jersey. The angry people, the people that are, I'm trying to do great things. And that's because I'm on the national scene and international scene. They hate that. So listen, I'm an activist and I'm for the people. But the corruption that I seen at the convention center was despicable. And I had to speak out about it. And 37 Days is because of the convention center and speaking out and making national press, and then we brought the book together. It took us about 4 weeks, called Operation Warp Speed. And in 4 weeks, me and Steve Martino had the book out. Looks amazing.
Beautiful, beautiful. We're going to get back as far as the corruption in the church, especially all the churches that have religion, because religion is a form of the New World Order. And that's how they're bringing this thing together with government, economics, and religion. So we're going to get back to that, because I want the people to know that I too have written a book called The Spirit of Delilah that closed the eyes of Samson. But let's go on to this right here. Okay. 37 Days, the disenfranchisement of a Philadelphia poll worker. You just spoke about that. Daryl M. Brooks, a longtime political activist, finds himself embroiled in one of the most highly contested presidential elections ever conducted in the United States, and is suddenly thrust onto the national spotlight. However, the past, which has been haunting him for over 25 years. Okay, let's say what they always do. Here's what they do. They always want to bring up the past. They always want to bring up something to deframe you and make you look like the bad guy, because that's their job. Their job is to gaslight. They want to gaslight, and so make the people think what they want you to think. Remember, it goes back to the wag the dog. Wag the dog. That's what they do. And so you, as an individual, you have a love for your city. You saw the corruption. You saw the disenfranchisement. But then you had some people who were jealous only because they were part of the good old boys that was, maybe they had good jobs. They were put in positions to talk about things and to represent, but they never represented the people. See, Trenton is not the only inner city, where blacks are divided. That's their job. Their job is to divide and conquer. So when the truth arises, here you are, 12 years young of age, opposing something that, hey, like, who is this 12-year-old young man? So that was the start of your calling and in your DNA and your purpose in life. And so here you are now, right now, with the book, 37 Days. And we encourage everyone to get online and get this book, 37 Days. It talks about the disenfranchisement of a Philadelphia poll worker that was actually there. Now they're going to make it seem like, oh, you know what? He's making this all up. But You're not trying to sell books. You're not trying to make a lot of money. Okay. But what you're doing is bringing awareness to the people.
Yeah.
And so that's why they will, let me share something with you. You that are watching. Do you know, according to history, of course they say theoretically, allegedly, do you know that Nero burnt down Rome? Nero, who would be considered a president of a country, of a nation, Nero of Rome, Italy, he burnt down Rome, Italy. And what did he do? He blamed it on the Christians. He blamed it on Paul, who he felt as though was the leader of this group, this Christian group that was taking over his power. See, they always want to be in power. And what's happening now, okay, not just with religion, okay, but what's happening now is financial. See, the fiat currency that we know, where they print the money, I'm going to say it, the Federal Reserve, private bankers, okay, they print the money with no backing. So that's why you have hyperinflation, because they keep printing, and they bail people out. When things go chaotic, which they cause the chaos, they bail out big companies, large corporations. So what did President Trump do when he was in office? And he's still in office, by the way, because we're going to talk about the corruption in the ballots. What did he do? He brought back manufacturers from overseas. He said, if you don't bring them back to America and put America first, we're going to hit you hard. We're going to hit you hard with the taxes. So they all came back. And who didn't like that? The people that put the manufacturers overseas. China. They were in China. They were in Taiwan. They were in Philippines. They were in all these other foreign countries. And everybody was getting paid, especially those who are in control of the economical global system. Is that not right? I mean, is that how you see it?
Yeah, you're definitely right. You know, one of the things I tell people is that there's nothing wrong with thinking about America first. You know, and people, oh, that's racist statement. No, America needs to be first. You look at the economic problems that we have in our society. You know, you talk about the companies that left. You know, look at all the companies that left the Trenton, the businesses in Trenton, especially in the 80s and 90s. My mom worked at Carter Wallace. They left. My mom, it was other people that worked at different companies. Trenton makes the world takes. Trenton doesn't make anything the world takes anymore. You know, especially when it comes to manufacturing. A lot of those businesses left New Jersey, they went overseas or went somewhere down south. So, you know, to me, you know, it has to be this way. America has to be first. We have to take care of our families and corporations and businesses and individuals, because we are Americans. And so when I tell the people that, you know, they say, oh, no, something's wrong with that. Make America great again. You know, we have to make this country great again, make it strong again. I tell people this, listen, when you have kids that are graduating from high school, can barely read and write, kids graduating from schools in Trenton, Newark, Philadelphia, Camden, graduating from the 12th grade, can barely read and write. You know, they are graduating with a third grade education. You know, how can we make America strong with kids that are graduating with lower levels of education? Leaving right from high school and going to work at Walmart, going to work at Amazon. That's not acceptable. You know, that's not acceptable in this type of society. So, you know, America first. America has to be great. We have to do some things to make this country strong again, make the state strong again, make the city strong again, and bringing back companies to give people opportunity to work and do great and get great jobs so they can take care of their families, take care of themselves, provide. You know, that's what it's all about as Americans. So yes, I do believe that.
Absolutely. So when President Trump was in the seat, because we know we have a resident right now sitting there illegally, okay? He's just a resident. That's not his position there. He's not supposed to be there, but he's there as a puppet. Yeah. We know that. People say, oh, because they're only repeating what they heard from the media. They say, Donald Trump's a bigot. Donald Trump is this. Donald Trump is that. But let me ask you folks something. those of you who don't know, or those of you who don't see, did you know that President Donald Trump brought in from HBCU schools the presidents and asked them, why is it that you have to come every year for a federal loan? Why do you have to come every year? And the answer was, this is the way the last administration has set it up. Who was the last administration before President Donald Trump? Obama. Okay. So you think he would do something for people of color? HBCU school president said, we need help. Our schools are dying. Our schools are closing up. Fact check that. Fact check it. Don't take my word for it, but fact check it. So what did Donald Trump do? He gave he gave them monies. 5 years. He says, I don't want to see you here for another 5 years. Get on out of here. Take your money and go. See, he's a businessman. He's not a Republican. He's not a Democrat. He understands, and he's not prejudiced. With somebody that's prejudiced, would they do that? So you believe in the hype. You believe in what the mainstream media, the mockingbird for those who don't want you to know the truth. You're actually falling in to this particular situation that I'm going to show you here right now, especially you in the church. The spirit of Delilah closing the eyes of Samson. Your eyes are closed and you don't see the truth because you've been told a lie. You've been told a lie, you believe a lie. And so they cover it up. They know how to cover up and twist things around. In psychology, we call it gaslighting. They know how to gaslight you. That's right. They gaslight you. They pervert the truth. They turn the story around. How about the first when they tried to impeach President Trump? What was that all about? The first one, when they said they had a phone call to Russia and so forth, and pertaining to Ukraine and whatnot.
You know, you're definitely right.
Not guilty. You know, you're definitely right. You know, one of the things I heard this minister say, I don't want to say his name over the internet, but he called the media agents of the deception. And, and it's definitely right. Yeah, I was down in New Orleans and I spoke to a chancellor at a college down there, a black college. And he said Trump, helped the college out big time. And I said the media never talked about it, but he said he's voting for President Trump next election. President Trump got 17% of African-American vote. He said to me, without President Trump giving the money to these colleges, a lot of the colleges would be falling. I mean, would be failing right now. So the media didn't talk about that. The media didn't talk about the opportunity zones in these black areas, neighborhoods, that businesses can thrive. Black businesses, people get opportunity to make money and start their own business. That's amazing. You don't hear Obama didn't do that. You didn't hear about our President Biden haven't done anything like that. So when you see these things that President Trump did, the media, they don't want to talk about it. I remember when he first got elected, I talk about in the book, there were people saying that President Trump was sending all the African Americans back to Africa. I'm like, who told you that? The media told me that. Are you sure the media told you that? When was this happening? And also I talk about in the book, 37 Days, is they had, I don't know if you remember the rallies they had, the all pink rallies, women in pink. I was on the River Line and coming back for leaving Trenton and going back to Philadelphia. And there was this lady, they were all on the train. And she said that she hopes, I think she might have been Italian, Irish lady, young, I guess in her late 20s, early 30s. She said she hoped President Trump gets assassinated. And I'm like, well, why would you say that? And then she tells me, and I asked her, well, do you think his children, his family will be upset? She told me she didn't care. And so this is the type of madness we have. The media, when he gets elected, the world is going to end. All hell is going to break loose. He's going to start more wars. He doesn't know what he's doing. All these things are happening. Impeachments. The media, as I said, are agents of the deception.
And one of the problems that we have in our society is we don't have enough people that have a proper education to understand these things, a critical education. They don't think critical. So you have all a generation of individuals who are inner city and suburb, black and white and Spanish, who are not critical thinkers. They can't think for themselves, and they're functionally illiterate. And it's sad. So the media can tell them, CNN, MSNBC, and sometimes even Fox News, they can tell people certain things, and they actually believe it. They don't investigate it. I remember watching Fox News. It was Glenn Beck, the Glenn Beck show. What did Glenn Beck always say? Don't listen. Just don't believe everything I tell you. Do your research. Do your research. And the problem is we have a society of people, millions of people who don't do their research, who just believe everything they read and they watch on television. Welcome to America. This is the On Fire show. Welcome to America. People, this is happening right now in our society. People are asleep, and we're trying to do with my interviews, your book, my book, is wake people up, and people are waking up, but sometimes it has to be right in their face to see it. And you see the gas prices, they see inflation, but still they just don't get it. So sometimes it has to wake people up. They have to wake up one morning and no money in the bank. The gas prices gone to $9-10 a gallon before they wake up, or something happened that devastates our economy. Usually it's the economy, but people have to wake up.
Absolutely. The spirit of Delilah closing the eyes of Samson. That's a real spirit. And what better way to close the eyes of the people in the black community, in the black community, is in the church.
Yeah.
And it's these and so the pastors, read it for yourself in Jeremiah 23, they scatter the sheep. They're false pastors, false leaders. And reason why they do this is because they're bought out from the 501c3. The 501c3 allows you to have, through the government, a church. If you don't do what the government tells you to do, based upon based upon the 501c3, then we'll take that away from you, and you can't have a church. Well, the church in the book of Acts didn't have a building. They met in homes. They met in homes, and they were powerful, and that's why they try to get rid of them, because it was a movement that came against the government, came against the religious, the Pharisees and the Sadducees, the religious people of the day. And so it is today. So I've had pastors to unfollow me and get upset with me because they were angry at Donald Trump. They said he's this, he's that. No, you paid to do what you do because you don't want to lose making $2,500 a week, or $1,500 a week, or $3,000 a week. Or in some churches, they're so big, the big mega churches, they're millionaires.
You're definitely right. And one of the things I want to talk about is what happened in New Jersey. Phil Murphy told the black, especially the churches, to close. And the churches closed down, especially the black churches, and they didn't challenge Phil Murphy. They just accepted it. Why? Because he's a Democrat. And listen to the master tells you to shut your church. The master tells you to close your business. But they didn't close down Walmart. They didn't close down Target. They didn't close down Amazon. They didn't close down Wawa. But they closed down the small businesses, African Americans, all Americans who are trying to develop their business and grow had to be closed down. A lot of them lost their business. But listen, they closed down the church. Now, if you have a crisis in America, and I'm specifically talking about, let's say New Jersey, a crisis where people are suffering, the last place you want to close is the church of God. And that's what they did in New Jersey. And now there's all these pastors saying that they were duped. Phil Murphy gave less than 1% of financial services help to the black businesses in the black church. So the churches just closed down because they accepted it. And it showed people like, okay, who is their God? Is it Phil Murphy, or is it our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ? And so that's what people are saying to me. They closed down the churches, they closed down my business. I'm suffering, and now there's some churches still closed. And who's the leader? And so even when they had the Jewish synagogues, the rabbis were fighting to keep the synagogues open. Some of them, I believe, was arrested or threatened with arrest. The black church just closed down completely, and it doesn't quite make sense. There's my pastor, one of my pastor buddies, Greg, Tennessee. His church stayed open, or he had his church outside. They were pastors around the country. So I'm gonna fight this. This is wrong. This is deception. This is not by God. So I'm going to open my church, and you do what you want to do. Martin Luther King said, "True forever scaffold, wrong forever on the throne. Yet that scaffold sways the future, and behind the dim unknown stands God, within the shadows keeping watch above his own." What does that mean? God will stand by you. God is with you, but you have to believe in God, and you have to stand with God. God is always with the righteous people, and you shouldn't be afraid. Can you imagine Martin Luther King, down in Atlanta and in Alabama? They had to tell him he had got to close your church. Can you imagine in the 60s, the black church and stuff? We gonna close our church? No. So this is what happened in all around the country.
Absolutely, because they chose to use the narrative. Well, it's science. We believe science before we believe the report of the Lord. And because the science, Anthony Fauci and Dr. Birx at that time, they all put fear by the narratives, and they showed the strands and the testings, but you weren't allowed to say HQ online in the continent of Africa. The 19 wasn't even acknowledged to a large degree, because the people was taking chloroquine. All right. Mm-hmm. And so, they didn't want you to talk about that. They didn't want, don't talk about this. No. So they hushed that up. All right. There's been a lot of things that's been on the hush hush, but in the black churches, they have been paid off because they don't want to lose their 501c3. That's the bottom line. Did you know that 63% of blacks in New York City, when Mayor de Blasio was in office, 63% of black people did not take the thing on in their shoulder. They didn't take that. So now they say, well, if you haven't taken that and you don't have a V card, you can't come into the restaurant to eat. Wait a minute. Now that means, as a black person, other than I can't come in to eat. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
That means I can't come in to eat. So 60 years ago, you couldn't eat into a restaurant because you were black. Now you can't eat in a restaurant because you don't have the VAC card. Are you able to hear me?
I can't. I can probably hear you. Can I hear you? I think it's.
Can you hear me now? My mic is on. My mic is on. Are you there? Can you hear me? The devil's a liar. That's okay. We have On Fire, Daryl Brooks on Fire, and we've been chopping it up. We've been talking about many aspects of what's going on, so that your eyes will be open. But fact checked us. Here's Daryl Brooks, his book, 37 Days. We're going to show you this on the screen here. All right. This is where you can get the book on Amazon. 37 Days, a disenfranchisement of a Philadelphia poll worker, paperback, December 13th, 2020. It's $12.99, $13. Get it today. You will be enlightened your eyes will be open, and you'll like what you're hearing because you're hearing truth. So we want to thank you, Daryl, for coming on the air. And I think we've lost connection here. I'm not sure. But in the meantime, in between time, we want to say thank you for coming on the air. Hey, this has been the TLV Sports Talk Show, where we talk sports, we talk life, we make you visible. My main man, Daryl Brooks, on fire. Catch his show on Facebook, On Fire. Check him out. And let's see here. Just go to Daryl Brooks Facebook, facebook.com, Daryl Brooks, and you'll be able to get on his broadcast, and you'll get more enlightenment, and your eyes will be open. So listen, in the meantime, in between time, we want everybody to know this has been the TLV Sports Talk Show, where we talk sports, we talk life, we make you visible. Hey, keep us locked in, because we coming on next month with Empower Me for the community. All aspects of how to be empowered. That's right. So we want you to be tuned into that and understand what's going on in your community. So in the meantime, in between time, we're out. Thanks, Daryl. Appreciate you. It's been the TLV Sports Talk Show. We talk sports. We talk life. We make you visible. Put it in the book. That's right. Put it in the book. We're off like a 30 shirt.